there, friends and fictional folk! There's a piece of writing advice that pops up every now and again that goes a little something like this.
Hey there, kiddo. Are you hitting writer's block? Do you find yourself bored whenever trying to write that one scene?
Then throw that thing away, dude, and write something fun and radical instead. Writing should never be boring, and if you're bored, you're doing it wrong.
Now, as you can probably tell by my exaggerated performance, I strongly disagree with this sentiment. Sure, sometimes in writing you need to cut out parts of your manuscript or kill your darlings, but that isn't what people mean when they say to cut out a scene if you're bored with it. Some people are under the impression that a scene that is boring to write is one that will be boring to read or watch. But that simply isn't true. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't, donate to my Patreon if you have the funds, and let's talk about why your book needs boring scenes. When it comes to stories, a majority of people will remember the big, powerful, impactful moments that make us laugh, cry, cheer, or otherwise feel powerful emotions. These scenes could be an epic final battle, the first casting of a spell, finally sharing a kiss with a love interest, or the death of a beloved companion. Less dramatic, but still impactful scenes are also remembered well, most often those being at the start or end of a story. Star Wars is famous for its text crawls.
3 were given to the elves, immortal.
Lord of the Rings is famous for its dramatic opening narration and Bilbo's 111st birthday party. And anyone who was a kid during the 90s or early 2000s will tell you that half the reason they watched the shows that they did was because of the opening theme songs. As for endings, everyone remembers the cliffhanger of Empire Strikes Back, and the emotional goodbye between Frodo and his friends as he sails west. These are fun scenes to write, the kind of stuff that gets a writer really raring to put words on the page. I personally love writing fight scenes, and chapters where characters take a moment to truly explore the powers of whatever magic system they've recently acquired. But then there are the scenes connecting these moments. Scenes of necessary dialogue, character moments, or lengthy exposition needed for the big moments to have the impact that they do. Do we need Merry and Pippin being excited about the prancing pony selling ale by the pint? Is it exciting? No, but it gives us a little chuckle and helps us connect with the characters. And without that connection, their later scenes of marching with the Ents to war, or being the first to charge the gates of Mordor with Aragorn wouldn't hit nearly as hard. Did Rick Riordan need to write about Percy's first week or so at Camp Half-Blood? Well, as evidenced by how much the movie and the Disney Plus show cut of it, no. But what those two adaptations show is that without those relatively unimportant and unimpactful scenes of everyday life at camp, the place loses much of its character. And thus we wouldn't care as much about it being under threat in later books. And then, of course, there are the scenes of traveling or talking meant primarily to establish that traveling and talking have taken place. That way it isn't confusing when the characters are suddenly somewhere else or have a rapport we didn't see form. These scenes, these bits of connective and narrative tissue, are not always the most exciting things to write. Sometimes they can be downright boring, but stories cannot exist without them. Watching fight scene after fight scene can be cool for a YouTube binge, but it doesn't make for the most compelling narrative. Watching a character die with dramatic music and a heartfelt speech means nothing if we never got to spend time with that character. Just because it's boring to write does not mean it is unimportant. Let's imagine two scenes, shall we? The heist has gone horribly wrong. After snatching the prize, the guy in the chair has betrayed the crew and set off every alarm in the building because he's been secretly working with the police this whole time to catch the team red-handed. Now, after a daring escape and a harrowing chase requiring each member of the crew to use their skills to outrun and outfox the cops, the love interest of the crew leader lays dying from a gunshot wound on the table of their backup safe house. The love interest manages to choke out a confession to the leader before succumbing to their injuries and passing away in said leader's arms. Tears in their eyes, the leader lays their love down, closes their eyes with a hand, and meets the eyes of the rest of the crew. It's time for revenge. An awesome set piece and a cool scene. Slight problem. You have no idea who any of these people are beyond their character labels and their role on the team. The action was exciting, and the masterful score or elegant use of grammar really sells the death scene. But it rings a bit hollow because you don't know who the person is who is dying. Now let's visit a very different scene that takes place a night or two before these tragic events. Imagine, if you will, a slow, quiet scene of a heist crew back at their lookout. They are all tired from preparing for the future theft, and trying to plan for every contingency. Everyone is exhausted and wants to sleep, but there is still more work to do. And while they are working away, they talk. They chat, if for no other reason than to occupy their minds and pass the time. They don't reveal any big secrets or confess any hidden love. They just talk. About fears, worries, concerns, hopes, and annoyances. And in the course of their talking, in the quiet of the night and the flickering candlelight of the hideout, their camaraderie grows stronger. Not in some dramatic burst of friendship and love, but in a soft reassurance of having someone by your side. And in that, they find the determination to finish their work before bed. A simple, quiet scene. Probably not the most exciting to write. But imagine how much more impactful the first scene would feel if the second scene had been described to you before it. You would have been able to feel the heartbreak of the betrayal more keenly, the panic and excitement of the heist gone wrong and the subsequent escape more sharply, and the grief at losing not just a love interest, but a character that you had grown to know and like more powerfully than you could without the boring, quiet scene. This is the power of a boring scene. Make fun of me all you want in the comments about being a Brandon Sanderson fan, but this is part of what I love about his books. These things are huge and packed with scenes that a less well-established author would be told to just cut. It's why they're so big, but that's why I love them. I like spending time just hanging out with interesting characters. I like learning about strange, made-up worlds and existing within them, experiencing unique aspects of the cultures which inhabit them. And from the general consensus online, I know I'm not alone. Now don't get me wrong, a tightly paced story with no extraneous scenes or fluff can be good. These are lean, focused experiences targeted directly at delivering what they set out to give you. And any writer knows that sometimes you have to kill your darlings for things to flow the way that they need to, and sometimes circumstances change, forcing you to cut that extra fluff which some writers are better at doing than others. Steven Universe is a great show, but there is absolutely an overabundance of fluff and filler, which, given the mood the show is going for, would be fine if Rebecca Sugar had been allowed to take as much time as she wanted on it. The problem is, she wasn't. The plug got pulled, leaving the writers without the amount of episodes they wanted to wrap things up with, yet they kept putting in filler to the point that they had to rush the ending to an unsatisfying conclusion. Luckily, they got to follow up on it with Steven Universe Future, which was fantastic, but the main show still had a poor implementation of fluff and boring scenes. For a better example of how to handle suddenly not having the space you want, we can take a look to the Owl House. Disney gave Dana Terrace and their team one last season consisting of a few 45-minute long episodes to wrap up the entirety of Season 3. A damn near impossible task, but they pulled it off masterfully while still managing to put in a bit of the fluff they had originally planned on having. Through the use of montage and careful timing, we still got scenes that other teams might have cut, such as Luz coming out to her mom, the Hex Squad learning Spanish, and even development on everyone's trauma. And it's clear from the jabs taken by the team in the show that they were not happy about it.
Hey, wouldn't you rather, I don't know, have a beach day?
Maybe if we had time for 20 more adventures.
But they pulled it off so well. How that team managed to give us a satisfying conclusion, despite the limitations they were put under, is nothing short of a miracle, and should be studied, but that is not the point of this video. Because I want you to imagine what Steven Universe and the Owl House could have been like if they had been given the time to put in the fluff they so desperately wanted. How much more we could have connected with the world and characters. This also goes for many manga or anime working with rush schedules or limited episode or chapter counts. The boring scenes to draw, animate, or write could have added so much to the later parts of My Hero Academia. Any sort of exploration of Kaguya in Naruto before the finale would have helped it not feel like it came out of absolutely nowhere. And one of the reasons people love One Piece are those scenes where the Straw Hats and their friends just hang out and goof off. It makes their struggles and eventual victories all that more exciting. In this, books kind of have the advantage. While you shouldn't stuff your novel full of irrelevant scenes, there are more opportunities for scenes of just talking or thinking or traveling. And there's a bit of a trick to those as well, because if you write it carefully, you can cross an entire continent in the space of a single page, and still have your readers feel like nothing was skipped, so long as you include fun environmental details. And that's sort of the trick to writing boring scenes in general. Always have your audience or your characters learn something. Walking through a market isn't usually very interesting, but if you use it to introduce fruits and meats that only exist in that world, or have something in that market remind the point of view character about something in their past we didn't know about yet, then while you, the writer, may have felt bored writing it, your audience isn't going to feel like their time was wasted at all. So yeah, don't give up on that boring scene. It may feel like a slog to go through, but until you hand it off to your beta readers, you'll never know whether it was worth it or not. In my own book, Strike the Match, it took me forever to finish writing chapter 12 because it was pretty much entirely characters talking to each other and apologizing for their actions. In my head, the apologies had already happened because I'd written the later scenes first, so at the time it felt like I was repeating myself. But that scene ended up being one that my beta readers loved because of those heart-to-heart conversations. I can't say much more, obviously, without giving away spoilers, so if you want to know what I'm talking about, then check out the links below and grab a copy of my book for your shelves. And while you're down there, please do all those YouTube things like liking the video, leaving a comment about what your favorite boring scene is, and subscribing to be alerted of when my next video will be coming out. And if you want to catch these videos early, be sure to sign up for my Patreon. Until next time!